I call Carmel Cipollone.
Mr Chair. Mr Chair, I just want to talk a little bit about what Charles has been saying, and also Moana with regards to extending the permission of the state without judicial evidence. One thing that hasn't come up so much across the duration of the debates and the discussion over this bill too much, Mr Chair, is the cultural implications of this bill. Now, Labor's not opposed to DNA testing. In fact, we're leaders with regards to the legislation around DNA testing in New Zealand, and we have very much kept up with the technology that's taken place. And we do support this bill, but we do have some reservations, and this perhaps is one of those reservations. And this was a conversation that myself and some colleagues were having around the cultural implications of this bill with regards to what DNA testing means for Māori and some Pacific groups also, Mr Chair. And just now I was looking at one of the DHB websites and see there that they encourage staff with Māori patients to actually give them back their any hair or toenails or fingernails or bodily tissues that were collected from them because of the fact that they are seen as tapu, Mr Chair. And this is one of the reservations that have come from Māori and Pacific, and that is ownership over the information that is contained in our DNA. And one thing that seems concerning, Mr Chair, is the fact that this information can be gathered from people when they have not been charged for any particular crime. So when there's the intention to charge, but they haven't been proven to be found, or they haven't been found guilty of any particular crime. And it seems a worry, and it is something that's going to come up with those particular groups, Mr Chair, because given that they haven't actually been found guilty of any crime, they haven't necessarily done anything wrong, to have that information taken when to those groups that information is seen as tapu, it's held in those parts of the body, whether it be hair, fingernails, even parts of the skin that it's been gathered from, that it will be of concerns to those particular groups. And I do think it is something that needs to be mentioned, and perhaps some thought needs to be given to that, Mr Chair, because in this country we do regard those cultures as being of importance, and so I think we do need to take into consideration their viewpoints on such things. Now, one of the things that Moana has made very clear also is the fact that DNA testing isn't foolproof, Mr Chair. And the concern that she's put out there as a scientist and as someone that has a background in this, in fact I think she's the only person in the House that has a background on this subject, the concern that she's put out there is that DNA testing has been held up very high and is perceived by many as being foolproof. And the issue there is that we have the concern arises that jurors and others may look at DNA tests and decide that's it, that's what it proves, and so therefore that must be 100% the truth. And scientists have said, and Moana has said, that not one single scientist would say...
Order.
Sure.
The member must use the full name, not their first names. That's the third time, so... Okay. So just remember that.
Apologies to the House.
It's not whether you mind or not. It's...
Apologies to Moana Maki. Moana Maki has said that no scientist would say that it is foolproof, and so I think that's something that we need to take into consideration. That's something that we need to take into consideration when we look at this bill, because we don't want to be putting out the impression that this is 100% fact and that jurors can take this information and believe that is all the evidence that they need. Now, she also raised the fact, and this is something that's come up across in the States and in other places, that there are more and more cases of people planting evidence with regards to DNA and getting other people charged with crimes, convicted of crimes, when in fact that evidence was planted. And that's something that we do need to be very cautious of as we lead into this road of where we're actually putting DNA testing out to be. We have to make sure that we don't put it out to be foolproof. Now, Before I end, Mr Chair, I just want to talk about the evidence involved and how much the cost is going to be. Now, that's something that keeps coming up with regard to this, because it doesn't seem that the government have looked into how much this is going to actually cost with regards to storing the DNA, with regards to actually collecting the DNA. I mean, we've got a government that says that money and resourcing is everything at the moment, and that they need to be very tight on the money that they spend.
I call Kelvin Davis.